Hello and welcome to Living Right with Chris. My name is Chris Isfekin and I'm super excited to welcome you to the month of September. Yeah, it's the Ember month and it feels so good to be here and I hope it is for you too, right? So for last month, we focused on building consistency and we said that impacts are not made by one-offs, but they are made by consistently showing up to do the things that needed to be done whether it's convenient for you or not. That's how impacts are made. And for this month, we're going to be considering strategy as our topic, right? Our focus, rather, for the month. Strategy. Strategy over strength. The truth is that when you put the right strategy side by side with strength, strategy always triumphs over strength. We often admire strength, physical strength, financial strength, strength to endure. And yes, strength has its place. It can move mountains, it can break barriers, it can impress a crowd. But let me ask you this question. Is strength alone enough? The answer is a clearly no. It's clearly no. Because while strength can win a fight, it is strategy that wins war. Think about it. The strongest army doesn't always win the battle. The loudest voice doesn't always change minds. No. The biggest company doesn't always lead the market. It's not just about how powerful you are, it's not about how strong, it's about how wisely you use your strength. So, strength without strategy leads to, in fact, is a disaster waiting to happen. I am reminded of the story in the Bible of, um, what's his name again? Samson, yeah, that had so much power without strategy. He didn't know what he was called for. He derailed and he killed himself with his enemies, with his own strength. The Bible says that he pulled down the pillars that held the building for which he had been, tied, and the building collapsed on himself. He didn't strategize his power, and that was what placed him in that situation in the first place. He had so much power. He would go out, he would defeat the enemies with a jawbone. The Bible records that he defeated an army with just a jawbone of an animal. That was someone with so much strength, but he didn't have a strategy, to put his strength in the right direction. Strategy is what gives direction to strength. It's the difference between charging. There's a difference between charging forward blindly and then stepping forward with purpose. A man who charges forward blindly will always be defeated because there is no pattern. He's just going without a guard. But a man who charges forward with a purpose also knows how to apply his strength as it charges forward. A well-placed idea can defeat 1,000 blows. A calm mind can outlast the fiercest storm. And that is the simple truth. So, as it's good enough that we develop strength, but we must also have the fortitude to strategize our strength, to strategically um, deploy or employ our strength, or put it to use, as it were. Develop your strength, build it, own it, but never forget that it is strategy that makes strength truly unstoppable. I I'm also reminded of the story about um what's it called now? David. David in the Bible was able to kill a trained um, warrior and a giant for that matter. David didn't have his strength could not have matched. He was just a shepherd boy. His strength couldn't have matched the strength of a giant who had been trained from his youth to be a giant, to be a warrior. But David confronted him and defeated him because he had a strategy. He didn't go with what a usual warrior would war with. Because if he had gone with that in that um, form, he will be defeated with a sword and a shield and all that. He's not as learned in the art of war as Goliath that he killed, but he had a better strategy. He didn't need to come close to the giant to pull the giant down. That's how powerful strategy is. I want to say a story about one of the greatest fighters of all times, Muhammad Ali. There was a fight that he had with Foreman in 1973. At that time, um, Muhammad Ali was had become an ex-champion, not retired, but an ex-champion. And Foreman was just at his prime, just 25, and Muhammad Ali was 32 at that time and was actually in the point of retiring. But Foreman was at his prime. He had fought, um, I think the record, 14 fights. He had 14 fights, defeated all of them. He had never, experienced a loss as at that time. And the odds were against Muhammad Ali. Everybody thought that he was going to lose. In fact, the his own trainers and the people that went with him, when they were going down the aisle to the court for which the fight would take place, they were not they were just sober, like it was a, a, a procession with someone that had died. They were like sober and walking, and that was like a defeatist mentality that they had. But Muhammad Ali had a strategy. He knew what he wanted. He knew how he was going to get a win out of that fight. And what did he do? The first few rounds into the fight, Muhammad Ali didn't go for an offense or an offensive attack. He was just absorbing all of the punches from Foreman. He took it in. He built capacity, stamina to take in all of the blows, and that's where strength matter. However, strength in itself will fail where there's no appropriate strategy to deploy the strength. He had the strength to, soak in all of the blows. But look at what Muhammad Ali did. After he noticed that Foreman had exhausted his strength punching him and he was able to take it in, he now came out and knocked him out. That's the power of strategy. If you had gone, to Foreman, man for man, blows for blow, he would have gassed out on time because he was at his, at his end point in boxing. And we have a Foreman who was just, a youth, energized, energetic youth, and he had all the power. And Muhammad Ali knew that he was going to run, himself to a loss if he matched him power for power. So he deployed the strategy to absorb. And that is how he won that fight. It was one of the most talked fights in history. And that picture painted something in my mind that strategy will always trump over strength when put side by side. So for this month, we're going to be strategizing, not just building strength and building capacity. We're going to strategize on how to deploy our strength to positive ventures so that at the end of the day, we'll have success in the things that we do. So for this month, strategize and re-strategize. All of the plans that you had, that resolution you made at the beginning of the year, it is high time you strategize how to get what you have planned, how to, deploy your strength to achieving your goals for the year 2025. And for this month, each day, take out time and plan a strategy for all of your plans. Take them one by one, all of the goals and all of the um, uh, whatever you have laid down from the beginning of the year that you want to achieve by December 2025. Put a definite strategy. Be creative. Know how. Do a SWOT analysis, and at the end of the day, you will see that you will come out victorious. I'm super excited again. knowing that you're always here with us. But you can do better than this. Like this video, and when I say doing better than this, I mean you can share this video to others that would need it. Because living right is the only way worth living. And if we must live right, if we must win in life, then we must focus on the things. We must intentionally focus on the things that we ought to do part time. And one of the things that we must do is not just building strength and capacity. We must strategize, and deploy our strength strategically to achieving our goals. So like this video, share it to your friends, share it in your community, and I know that we will get value for being here. Thank you and stay blessed. Bye.